everybody. Dan Illman, Mike here, taking a look at the DRF race of the day for Friday, August the 2nd. It's race number 9 at Saratoga. Let's throw up the field for the Grade 2 National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame. 3-year-old turf horses going 1 mile on the inner. 8 3-year-olds entered, $500,000 the purse. The 4 neat 5-2 morning line favorite, Junior Alvarado. Rob Atras coming off a nice graded stakes win in the Manila.
I really liked his last start, Dan. I'm not even sure that this is even a tougher race than that Grade 3 Manila last time. So we'll see. I mean, to me, he's clearly the horse to beat, looking for his 4th stakes win already as a 3-year-old.
Neat likes to get close to the pace, and he figures to do so once again as we take a peek at our Timeform US pace projector. They have Neat sitting comfortably in 4th with Barksdale, the number 7, the likely speed, and why not? He's stretching out. He's shown speed on the dirt. This will be his turf debut, however, so there are some distance and surface questions.
Yeah, who knows, how much of a factor he can be in here. I think they will use his speed and go to the lead in this race, Dan. Neat is very tactical, and I expect him to get the right trip in this race. And I just feel like the number 2, Buttercream Babe, they have him sort of mid-pack here. I think he's going to be closer.
And the number 5, Lagynos, note the LP flag over his chiclet. That indicates he has the fastest Timeform US late pace rating. If the pace heats up, keep an eye on Lagynos. We'll start things off, however, with the number 1, Please Advise, who's listed as a first-time gelding for trainer George Weaver. I think there are still some questions about distance. He has run well around 2 turns in the past. I wonder if he's slightly better as a closing sprinter. Sort of his best race last year came going 3/4 in the Atlantic Beach, where Eric Cancel just happened to make all the right moves. Saved ground, got the splits when it mattered, and he got up late. His last race, the Manila, was a race where he broke sharp, and this horse has a tendency to break really sharp, and they not only did they not want the lead, they wrangled him all the way back to last, and I think they gave him a little too much to do.
Yeah, he really had absolutely no chance last time. Once they took him back to last, I mean, he still had too much to do at the 8th pole in that race. I thought he actually finished really well in there. I don't know, Dan. I'm kind of with you. I feel like he's probably better as a closing sprinter. I mean, I feel like if I wanted to argue that any one of his last 3 starts is better than they look on paper, and he's a horse who's a little dirtied up on the way in here, and he's really interesting at a price, I could make that argument. I kind of don't want to. He is a new gelding for this.
Flavien Prat takes them out. Wouldn't be surprised with a decent pace track and ground saving trip. Buttercream Babe, the 2, is a filly taking on the boys for trainer Michael Maker. Let's watch her last race against fillies. This is the Horseshoe Indianapolis Handicap. She was the favorite after a victory in a first level allowance at Saratoga during the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival. She's in between horses here. She's going to come with a run. She is going to miss to a big priced pace setter.
Just wound up maybe a little too far away here. Dan got bumped at the start and wound up sort of towards the back of the pack. She does finish pretty well, and she can't catch this long shot on the lead. A decent performance. She won here on the inner course here, going a mile back in June at Saratoga. She got a perfect trip that day, but she earned a competitive figure.
Zverev comes off a victory in a first-level allowance at Churchill Downs for Cherie DeVaux. He has now won 2 of his last 3 starts. What I like about this horse is his versatility. There was no pace on at Churchill Downs last time out, so Jose Ortiz was able to get this guy right up close to the pace, and when he turned for home, he was able to put the favored pace setter away, and while there wasn't really any closing going on, the pace worked against the closers. That pace setter was losing ground to Zverev in the lane, and that horse came back to win.
I really like that effort as well, Dan. He got a great trip in there, but he also really ran. You could just see this horse developing over time. Anyway, he keeps getting better with every start. Ran, I thought, really well last time. The race 2 back, he got totally buried through the stretch in there. Jose Ortiz just sort of committed to the rail for the stretch, and this horse never came clear. You just put a line through that. All of his other races recently are good and getting better.
The number 4, Neat, seems underrated despite having won 5 of 8 starts, including the Grade 3 Transylvania at Keeneland. He pulled very hard in the early portion of that race before winning. Here's his most recent race, the Grade 3 Manila, where he seemed to settle a little bit, stayed up close to the pace, attacks, and is able to grind it out.
Yeah, just like the way he just flat runs right past these leaders in this race, takes over. They're going to sort of cut into the margin late here, but Neat's never really in danger in this race, Dan. I appreciated how settled he was early, though, because you've already mentioned he can be a little headstrong in his race. He doesn't always want to rate. Junior Alvarado rode him for the first time in there. This horse settled perfectly, waited until it was time to go and went. And I really liked the way he finished that race off.
It's been close but no cigar for the late running five Lagynos since moving up into the stakes ranks 5 starts back. He's hit the board in 3 of those races, including only being beaten a half length by Neat in the aforementioned Transylvania. I thought all in all he worked out a decent trip in the American Derby last time out at Churchill Downs, really just didn't fire in the stretch. I think maybe he's most effective when you just take him back, hope for pace, and make one run. He was a little bit closer than usual last time.
I kind of agree with you. That seems like his best style. One of the things that I will, and he's run well in all of his turf races, so I don't think it would be, any kind of big surprise if he got the right trip here and wound up winning this whole thing. It's certainly not impossible. I would just sort of point out he, as a closer, he's gotten a lot of good trips in those races where he's come up short. I mean, I haven't really seen that much trouble for him in his races. He gets good trips and he runs. He just hasn't won one yet.
Florida-bred Crystal Quest is the number 6. He earned a stakes win against States Breds at Tampa Bay earlier this year. He ran very well on the Murphy on Preakness Saturday at Pimlico. Not only did he catch a wet turf course, but he got all jammed up down on the inside, entering the second turn and entering the stretch. And he might have actually been best against a good one named Fulmineo. Now, he caught Fulmineo again last time out at Colonial. I think maybe Fulmineo was a little better that day, but Crystal Quest ran well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I didn't see a big excuse for him last time. It was soft ground again, however, and he doesn't have to love that. He was also on the outside the entire way. I don't know. He's one of the horses that I priced in that I would kind of like to try to dress him up a little bit and maybe give him an excuse for that last one because I liked his Murphy a lot. I'm with you. I think he might have been best that day. He won his 3 starts prior to that. He was really good in all of them. I just think he's a little underrated at a price.
Barksdale, the number 7, looks like the speed, stretching out after a couple of dirt races where he didn't have the best scenario. Last time out, I know he was the beaten favorite in that off-turf stake at Ellis Park, but he got involved in a speed duel from the start before tiring. And then in the Woody Stevens, he showed wicked early speed against some fast 3-year-olds, and he paid the price. You take those 2 races out of the equation, you're left with 2 solid front-running victories on dirt. Now, whether he can transfer that form to a 2-turn turf route's a different story, but you're going to get a price and you're going to get a thrill at least for 6 furlongs.
He's got to be on the early lead in here. I can't imagine them running him in this race and rating him. So we'll just see what happens. Listen. He's run some good dirt races. I didn't find any turf pedigree for this horse. Did you?
No, not at all. And again, I see that Bernardini in the pedigree. It bothers me. Great stallion, not great on turf. Army Officer is the number 8, going out for Brad Cox, Frankie Dettori. He's hit the board in his last 5 starts, including this win, a first-level allowance over course and distance at the Spa during the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival. You're going to see Army Officer, who seems like a very tactical sort. You can put him close to the pace. You can settle him in mid-pack. He runs right by him in the stretch and keeps on going.
This is a really strong performance. I realize it's only an allowance race. There are some decent horses in this field, Dan. He walked right up on this field. Frankie just sort of sat chilly around the turn, then asked him. He really ran through the stretch. I was taken with that performance. I'm not surprised they're going to try a stakes race with him now because they only recently come over to turf. He's run well in both of those starts.
I like where Timeform US has him on the projector as well. He can sit second if necessary, just off of Barksdale, a horse that's certainly questionable over distance and surface. Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time Friday, race of the day, the Hall of Fame at the Spa. We're both going to go with Zverev. I like what I saw last time out. So did you. Again, his versatility, I think, really works wonders. And I still think there's some upside.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like he'd maybe take one more step forward, which he probably has to do here. I'm a fan of the number 4, Neat Dan. I think he's the horse to beat, but I want to try to beat him with the 3.
We both have the same exact, the 3-4 in the Grade 2 Hall of Fame. It's one of 2 nice stakes races at the Spa on Friday. Good luck.